right out the gate, the second sutra, Patanjali begins to describe or explain to his students that are asking, well, if yoga has just begun, as you just sang to us, Vedic chanting is very different than with this harmonium and my playfulness involved. But the second sutra is when Patanjali looks at his students and explains, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It's as if every yoga at this time was confused and saying, no, yoga is about this deity. Yoga is about this. It's not about prana, it's apana. It's not yang, it's yin. Yoga, connection, true connection. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha is the quieting of the natural stormy nature of your mind so that you can rest in the stillness. Let's break down the words. Yogas, we talked about, and they say the S at the end in India. Chitta, chit, the word C-H-I-T, or actually C-I-T, actually means to collect. We say that chitta means mind. And isn't that a beautiful definition, as if your mind was simply a collection of your beliefs, of your experiences, a collection of your preferences, the way you identify everyone. That is what your mind is all the things you've collected for your opinion. Chitta has multiple elements and layers, but I'll go through them quickly. Within the mind field, within chitta, there is the manas, the sensory mind, M-A-N-A-S. The sensory mind is where you receive information through your senses. So you'll see something come in through your eyes, or you smell something through your nose, and immediately you'll begin to label it as a way to actually keep you, stay alive. So if you see like a fast moving car running right towards you, you're like, fast moving car. And then you start to move to the other elements of your brain here, hopefully. So once you receive the senses, maybe you say purple yoga mat, blue yoga mat. Through your eyes, you start to receive information. This is when we have no trouble when we receive information into our mind. It then moves through a layer called the ahamkara. Aham is to be the first mantra we ever say in our life. And it means, I am. It's the cry of a newborn out the womb. It's the first breath. I am, and kara means doing. It comes from the same root word as karma, kri or kriya, to do or to act. So ahamkara is the I am doing aspect of the experience. This is our personality. This is our ego. Ego is not a bad thing. We need ego in order to overcome ego. But ego is really where we receive all of our limiting belief structures and most of our negative thought patterns. All of our negative thought patterns. So as we learn the different layers, we move from manas to ahamkara. Hopefully we don't sit in ahamkara for very long, because ahamkara is what produces a lot of our afflictions or unnecessary future suffering. Hopefully eventually we move right to the spot that's called wisdom, the part of your brain where you hear a thought and say, is that really what I think? So in ahamkara, when it sees the purple yoga mat, it says, I love purple. And when it sees the blue yoga mat, it says, I don't like the blue yoga mat. But the part of our wisdom that's called buddhi comes from the root word buddha. It means to know. Buddh, B-U-D-D-H-I, buddhi. So this part of us is the kind of the muscle we're flexing through yoga. We're going to see these negative or unhelpful thoughts show up throughout our entire life. Maybe the first time we look at it is in the yoga mat, but eventually we'll be able to bring it to the grocery store and our kids' playgrounds and into traffic when we're extremely enlightened. The buddhi layer of who we are is our discernment. It's our ability to recognize that our mind is often spitting fake news. that our first initial reaction is probably our most basic back of the brain reaction that is often stimulated, motivated by fear. The last part of our mind, the fourth layer in this field of the chitta, is also called chitta, awkwardly enough. And this is more the subconscious. This is the storehouse of all past experiences. And this is what we don't usually see. It's like in the back of your head, but it's what creates your opinions. So what Patanjali's yoga is a deep investigation into the multiple layers of who you are and the way that your mind works. The third word of the sutra is vritti. Yogas chitta vritti. Vritti means to turn or to twirl. You know it from like paravritta, trikonasana. Paravritta, parsva konasana. Neither of those are these poses I'm doing, but it literally means, vritti means to twist or turn the body. And if you start looking at your thoughts when you close your eyes and see them land in the dark space of your mind, if you stare at them, they will whirl in and whirl right out. This vritti is like the modifications, the movement in the still sea of awareness. The vrittis are very interesting to study, and we will always have vrittis. But we will start to see which vrittis are klista, painful, and which vrittis are aklista, helpful and supportive. And through this practice of yoga, we start to rewire our brain to eliminate or reduce or attenuate the negative thought patterns and start to build, empower, recreate the positive thought patterns. Nirodha is my favorite word, and it's how we end this sutra. Rudra is the goddess of storms, and Ni means to negate. Yoga is the practice of stilling the constantly storming mind. So the storms of our mind are what create the waves in consciousness. And these waves in the waters of consciousness are what create a fractured or a distorted reflection of who you really are. But before we go to the third sutra, let's chant the second one together. It says, Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. So when I say it, you breathe in the words as if you were like listening and taking in the capabilities of stilling your mind. And then we'll chant it together. Okay, so exhale everything. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. 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 My girls are napping, I'm trying to be quiet. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. By chanting these sutras, the wisdom starts to unfold in every cell of who you are. So keep it up.